Nels Christianson is here. Nels represents District 18 Grand Forks. Very important part of the legislature right now from the standpoint that he is in a swing district, previously held by a Democrat. He's a Republican and a conservative, so he is a target. And so we do our best to get him on and make sure the constituents in District 18 know the good work he's doing, so he stays right there. He has been one of our Meet Your Legislators candidates, or I guess legislators, lawmakers that we've spoken with all year long and kind of followed the process thanks to the North Dakota Petroleum Council and the Lignite Energy Council. Nels, nice to see you again.
Thank you, Mr. Hennon. It's my honor to be on and to talk with the people of North Dakota.
I want to ask you a little bit about a story that certainly has consumed Grand Forks and much of the state related to the horrific actions of former state senator Ray Holmberg, who I think everybody, whether you knew him or didn't know him, recognizes is a very evil individual who thankfully is behind bars and probably will be there until he dies. But there's fallout from that right now, and it's landed on a lot of people. One of them, Bruce Jovic, who's for decades been a leader in the Republican Party circles in Grand Forks, and also with the Air Force Base and other things as well. I see that even his artwork is being taken down at UND now. Do you think this guilt by association thing has gone too far?
I think we all have to recognize that we all have our sins and shortcomings, and we have to be careful that we don't define people by the worst shortcomings that they might have. If Mr. Jovic knew about Senator Holmberg's horrible actions, if he knew about that, he should have said something. But I don't think that this needs to define him. His life work has been great for Grand Forks. He has been a cornerstone of our community for decades. And I think that we need to look at that as a whole. I truly honor the work that he's done for the community, and we need to call out maybe any shortcomings or mistakes that Mr. Jovic has made. But Bruce has been a good leader, and he was a wonderful mentor as I started my campaign. I may not agree with him on all policy, but he was still very fair and very supportive of my campaign, knowing that I was a conservative and that I was running in a swing district.
It's starting to feel like a witch hunt. Is that too strong?
I think that may be a fair term. I think we have to be careful that we don't get too arrogant ourselves, because I know I have many sins and shortcomings. And if we all are defined by our worst moments in the court of public opinion, it's not going to turn out very well for any of us. So I appreciate the balanced and level-headed approach that we need to take to this. We need to call out people if they did wrong or if they knew something, they didn't say it. That's unquestionably wrong. But we also shouldn't judge their entire lives by one mistake.
Yeah, and again, to the extent of that mistake, there are investigations ongoing. There's been emails that have been reviewed, phone calls, everything else. A number of emails between Ray Holmberg and Bruce Jovic have been scrutinized in media reports about this, from 10 years ago or whatever it is. They're disturbing, obviously, to see, but they're not illegal as of what I know on the surface. And so law enforcement should sort this out. But I do believe the court of public opinion's gotten a little overheated on this one, and that has been a subject of a lot of conversation online and elsewhere. So I appreciate your take on it. What's the most important thing happening here right now in the legislature?
I think the most important thing as we wind up the session is tax relief and tax reform, property tax reform. And I am disappointed that it is coming to the end of the session. I would have liked to have seen us come out with a package earlier. I think that I am viewing many of the agency budgets and much of the spending through the lens of I don't have the justification to go back to my voters and say, see, here's property tax relief. I can justify voting for maybe some extra spending on other programs. I have to look at this from the sense that property tax relief is the most important thing we're doing this session, and it shouldn't have been left for last. I really wish that we were more proactive on that. That said, that's not part of my committee responsibilities, so the specific negotiations, the nuts and bolts of what the reform will look like are in other people's hands, other representatives' hands. But I think that we shouldn't lose sight that that's the most important thing to come out of this session.
What's left is what the total amount will be. The Senate now is at $1,650 for every primary residence in North Dakota, but they have kept quote-unquote skin in the game at the bottom end of that and will cap the amount of total relief that you could get. Is that a bad idea?
It's not necessarily a bad idea. It's good that people do have skin in the game, but I don't think we should hold up real relief and real reform for people based on that. I think it's important that we look at our first responsibility, taking care of the taxpayer, taking care of the residents of our district to make sure that they are not taxed out of their homes.
Any other hot priorities for you, things that you, as you look back on the session, are most proud of or really rolled your sleeves up on?
Well, there are a number of things that have been that I've worked on. So, for example, on the property tax subject, the Homestead Tax Credit was something that really appealed to me. I expanded the eligibility for that in a bill that I sponsored. That bill did get voted down by the House, but elements of that were carried forward in the final ongoing negotiations. So we will see an expansion of eligibility for Homestead Tax Credit for senior homeowners. I want to make sure that someone who is a senior who has worked and paid their whole lives on their house should not be taxed out of that house in retirement.
Yeah, that's been, I think, the primary pain point on property tax relief and reform is to prevent that, because with the bounty we have from oil and gas, we have the dollars to do this property tax relief, which not only funds all of that relief, but also education and roads and bridges and everything else. Speaking of which, as a Grand Forks legislator, talk a little bit about the energy industry, oil and gas and the lignite industry. And is there a sense here that but for that, we wouldn't have these dollars for property tax relief and everything else? Do people understand that?
Absolutely. I think there's a great deal of appreciation of the important role that energy plays in North Dakota. And in Grand Forks, too, remember, we're the home of the EERC, and we do a lot of both education as well as research and investment in the future of the energy industry. So that's important to Grand Forks, and it's also important to North Dakota. I think that North Dakotans, in general, we are conservative people who believe in developing the resources that God has given us here and making sure that we're doing that in a fair and appropriate way, but making sure that we are a business-friendly state that develops the resources we're given.
Yeah, exactly right. Nels, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. Again, very important swing district, and so anything we can do to help get the word out during the period between sessions here and things that happen in the interim, we'd love to have you back.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hennon. It's my honor. It's
Scott, for crying out loud. You're so proper. Mr. Christianson, thank you.
My pleasure.
I'll reciprocate.